Welcome to season 2 of the Bigger Than You podcast, your go-to weekly podcast that blends energetics and mindset to help you do whatever it takes to bring your vision to life, whilst having fun on the way. I'm Jenna Holloway, your host and multi-award-winning intuitive hypnotherapist and mindset coach. My purpose is to help mission-led business owners and visionaries who want to inspire change by leading the way in a space that otherwise may feel unnerving and too difficult. This is Bigger Than You. Welcome back. I am so pleased to be bringing you this episode today. I know we've had some amazing guests on recently, but I have missed being here on my own. And so today I'm coming at you with 5 ways to improve your client results. And actually, I think it's more like 6, but 5 sounded better. So why is this important? Obviously, I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs, but obviously the better your client results are, the more confident you're going to feel and the better your social proof is going to be. So the easier it's going to be to attract in your next client. And so improving client results and client experience has got to be right up there in terms of your priorities. And why would you not want to improve your client results, right? If we're going to be in integrity in our business, which I'm sure you are, you would not be listening to this podcast if you weren't in integrity with what you're doing. So I know that as you're listening to this, I know that you're super passionate about the work you do. And so you can make some minor shifts here. These changes that I'm going to be sharing with you, they are not massive changes. They're quite small, some of them tiny. Maybe not. I'm not going to minimize it too much, like small shifts. That's what you need to do, just small shifts, and you can make a big difference in your client results. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into this. Before I start with tip number 1, it's actually important to have the right clients in front of you working with you in the first place. Because if you don't have the best clients for you in front of you, how can you get the best results possible? So what I'm talking about here is a question of alignment. Aligned clients are the ones that are perfect for you. They are the perfect energy match. And this is super, super important, because if you are working with misaligned clients, it's not going to feel as harmonious as it could. And I have experienced an upgrade in terms of how aligned my clients are in the past 8 to 12 months. And now it's incredible. Like, I've always loved my work, but having dream clients everywhere, every single one of my clients is a dream client. That's the most incredible thing. And of course, it's amazing because my results improve. But to actually feel like when you're working, you're like, how is this my job? I am being paid to do this. And it feels so good because I've got an energetic match in the clients in front of me. It's just the most amazing thing. So in order to be able to do this, you need to be your true, authentic self. You need to not be filtering yourself. You need to not be dimming your light. You need to be able to show up exactly as you are and say what's on your heart, so that the people watching you know who you are, not a curated version of yourself, not a version of yourself that's on your best behavior or version of yourself that is trying to be professional. There's some limiting beliefs that we can accidentally bring into our own business if we're coming into entrepreneurship from a previous career in the corporate setting, or if you've come from, like my background as a teacher. There's so many rules that you need to stick to in previous careers that they kind of hang on with you unless you intentionally decondition yourself from these things, so that you can just shake it off and just allow yourself to be you. I remember feeling so liberated when I left teaching, and just being able to, even to the point where I got tattoos on my arms before I left teaching, and it didn't actually say in the policy that you're not allowed them, or maybe it did, I don't know. But I remember not feeling like it was super accepted. And I'd have them out in the classroom and it was fine. But so many times, like there would be a senior management member coming around doing a parent tour, and I'd just have to like could put my hands over my elephant tattoo on my arm. And it's just little things like that. And also, obviously, not being, you have to filter yourself, of course, like in the classroom, you can't be exactly who you are, you know? So all of that kind of thing. So I remember feeling so liberated when I started my own business and, being free to just be me on social media. I found it so liberating, but I know that that's not often the case. You feel if there's that fear of judgment or fear of not being liked or fear of being cancelled, all these, really, really common limiting beliefs in entrepreneurship, they're there and they hold you back. They massively hold you back. But if you can get to a place where you can be your true, authentic self in your content, then you're going to be able to attract your dream clients because they're an energetic match for you, not an energetic match of the curated version of yourself that you're putting out there. And so the other thing to be aware of in order to do this is like you have to sort out your money mindset, because if you've got terrible money mindset, then you might consciously or unconsciously be ignoring the red flags that there are on discovery calls. Your internal guidance will give you the red flags when you're on discovery calls. Maybe that a client is not ready to work with you, or they're just not the right fit. And you know that deep in your heart. But if your money mindset needs work, then you're going to ignore those red flags because you do not want to turn away misaligned clients because you're in scarcity mode and you're worried about not making enough sales. So that's where it becomes really hard to act in integrity and to be congruent with, your values. And if you know that your program is right for this type of person, but you're not being clear about that in your discovery call and you're accepting people in that aren't really the genuine right fit, well, that's not fair on the potential client. And it is absolutely 100% going to be affecting your results down the line too. So that is about getting it right even before you have clients in front of you. And these 5 tips will hopefully help you to upgrade those and up level those results even further. Okay. So, number 1, be clear on your role. Now, I forgot to say this at the start of the podcast, actually. These tips generally are suited if you're listening and you are a coach. Potentially, it might work if you're a therapist too, but yeah, they won't necessarily work if you're like a service provider or something like that. But I'm sure that you'll be able to listen. If you're a service provider, I'm sure you'll be able to listen and take some kind of value from some of the points. But I've planned this episode from a perspective of I'm speaking to coaches because I know a lot of my audience are coaches. So, number 1, be clear on your role as a coach or a leader for your clients. You are there to lead, okay? You're not there to save anyone. And this is really, really important because we're driven by our feelings, and our feelings are there because of the patterns and programs in the subconscious mind, right? So if you feel the need to jump in and save your clients, that's okay. I mean, it's not okay. I'm going to tell you not to do it, but it doesn't make you a bad person. Obviously, you care. This is the thing. This is where it's really, really hard to step back, but you have to do this in order to get the best results from your clients. It's okay to care. Obviously, it's amazing to care. I care about my clients so much, but I know how to get the best from them. And so it's not about jumping in and saving them when it seems like they want saving, because that is totally disempowering. You're not there to be their savior. All right. If you do unconsciously fulfill the role of a savior, is disempowering, because ultimately that client is not going to be able to learn to save themselves. What you want to do is to help them, empower them to help themselves, to save themselves. Okay. So, for example, if I have a client who's asking for my advice on something, depending on the situation, I will ask them what they're thinking of doing first. And that is powerful because it gives them the opportunity to self-coach in front of you, and you're training them to lead themselves. And doing this builds so much trust and confidence and resilience. They want to be able to think like you and act like the leader that you are. And they're never going to be able to do that if you don't give them the space to do that. Okay, so allow them to grow by giving them the space to grow, and always It's about empowering them. And that energy of being a mother or a savior is disempowering. Even if you have the best intentions, it is going to affect your results because you're blocking them from reaching a higher potential. Number two, hold them to their highest potential. And what I mean by this is see more for them, believe that they are capable of being better or achieving better results than you currently do. This is massive because your clients are probably already limiting themselves. Most people do. They don't want you to limit them too. All right. So if you believe that you can get more out of them in terms of if you believe that they can achieve more, then they will. Because most of our communication is nonverbal. And it is so subtle in the way that this will make a difference, but it will. It will make a difference in the type of language that you end up using with the clients, the way that you speak to them, the tone, the body language, everything. And when you believe in more for them, they will reach that. They will up level themselves, probably subconsciously. They'll do it subconsciously, but they will up level themselves. And I have seen this in teaching. And I got bumped up the pay scale. Like it's unheard of, but I got bumped up the pay scale because of amazing results. And how I did this was just absolutely believing that anything is possible for any of the children in my class. I'm talking about GCSE class here. And I had an intensive class, which meant that they would be taking their GCSE in year 9. And I got 100%. It sounds like I'm tooting my own horn here, but I got 100% pass rate for this group of kids who there were kids in there that other teachers did not believe in them the way that I did. And the thing is, because I believed in every single one of them and I refused to give up on any of them, I refused to not believe in getting them to their highest potential. It was way higher than they ever thought in themselves. And because I did that, they wanted to work to that. They worked harder because of that. They saw and felt that I believed in them. And so they were able to believe in themselves. And it's no different in coaching, in the coaching space. So assess what you think your clients are capable of and then up level that. Believe that they're capable of more. And then you will literally be able to influence your results because of that. Yeah. You might not believe me, but I want you to believe me. It's so, so true. I've seen it time and time and time again. And I've coached my clients who are coaches. I've taught them to do this too, and they have seen their results go up. Along with the other tips that I'm sharing here, it's kind of everything's interlinked and all of these things matter. So if you're putting all of these in place, you can expect your results to go up. Okay, number 3, set healthy boundaries for clients. This is so important. And it also comes back to empowering them again. Okay. So this takes a little bit of prep work, first of all, because it's down to you to decide what you're okay with and what you're not okay with, and communicating this. Because communication allows your clients to feel safe. When there is clear communication, then everyone knows where they stand and we feel safe. Okay. And sometimes these boundaries will be tested, and that's okay. It's okay to uphold your boundaries. In fact, what's the point of having a boundary if you don't uphold it? So, people like to feel boundaries, people like to feel safe, and boundaries are super important. And also, brain tip for you, it's human nature to push boundaries. It's human nature to push until we reach a boundary. I'm sure you see this in, like, if you've got children, you will see this. They'll push, and they'll push until they reach a boundary. So why not have that boundary where you want it to be rather than be pushed until there's resentment there or until you're pissed off. Okay. If you find that your clients are pissing you off because they are doing stuff like texting you at 10:30 at night or something, well, that's on you. Because have you communicated a boundary with them? Probably not. So therefore, it's up to you to communicate what your boundaries are and gently and politely remind them of those boundaries if necessary. It can be done so nicely, so gently, so lovingly, and it's good. It's for the best of all involved. Now, personally, with my one-to-one clients, there is as part of the work that I do with them, there is one-to-one support, between sessions over voice note. And I say to them, you can text me whenever you like. Whenever you desire support, you can message me. And it's down to me to respect my own boundaries, to only read the message when I am ready to, i.e., within my work hours. And it's down to me to decide when's appropriate to reply. So you text me whenever you like. And the reason for this, by the way, is because I have clients in all different time zones. And so I don't want to add on a responsibility to them to work out what the time is in the UK when they're probably 5, 6, 7 hours different. It doesn't matter. It doesn't bother me. My boundaries in place and they are my boundaries to uphold. So in that case, for me, they can text me whenever they like. It's down to me to stick to my own boundaries. And that works really well. But again, you have to decide what works for you and communicate that. Tip number 4 is boundaries for yourself. Okay. Your life is so valuable, so important. And the work, your job, your career, it is not the be all and end all. Even though you might feel like it at times. Like, I'm super, super passionate about my work. I love my work so much, but it is not everything about my life. And so it's important to have boundaries in place for yourself so that you don't allow your work to take over your life. You've got relationships, you've got family, you've got priorities. And unfortunately, we can be very misaligned with where we're spending our time and what we value of our time. Okay. So, for example, if you're struggling with your mindset, you might be working way more hours than you would like to and not having your own personal boundaries in place. So, therefore, you're ignoring, not necessarily ignoring, that sounds bad, but therefore, you're not spending quality time with your family. Or when you are, you're not able to be present and, have fun with your kids, or just working too long hours, not spending any sort of quality time with your partner, or whatever it is. This all comes down to personal boundaries. And when you have those personal boundaries in place, this can also influence and improve your client results too. Now, an example of this is if you have a Facebook group. Let's say you've got a group coaching program and you have a Facebook group, and your boundary is to be in that Facebook group responding to questions once a day. But then you find yourself jumping on and responding to questions minutes after they've been posted, possibly because there is underneath a desire to make sure that your clients feel that you're doing a good job. And there probably is going to be some limiting beliefs underneath this, because there always is when it comes to boundaries. But it's not a good thing in terms of your client results if you're jumping on and responding to questions minutes after they've been posting, because what that does, it actually blocks potential for your clients, potential for them to think for themselves, potential for them to support each other. And yeah, it is disempowering. Okay. If you have a boundary in place, stick to it, but also think about those boundaries in relation to your client results. What's going to serve them? What's going to empower them? Because if you have the client results in mind when you are setting these boundaries, but you also remember that you want them to lead themselves, then this may influence how often you're going to be in that Facebook group, for example. Tip number 5 is about your own energy, because nobody wants a burnt out coach, right? You have to put yourself first. And I always say this, it's about the relationship with yourself, because when you are able to put yourself before your business, fill up your own cup so that your energy is great on calls. You're putting yourself first so that you can be the best version of yourself, so that you can be the best coach that you can be on your coaching calls. Like I said, nobody wants a burnt out coach. Imagine this the other way around. Imagine if you have invested into working with a coach. You want to feel that you're getting them at their best. And you can only be at your best as a coach when you are setting healthy boundaries around your time, your own well-being, and prioritizing your own self-care. So all of this is interlinked. Boundaries, self-care, mindset, everything. It's all interlinked. And whilst we're on this note, what can often happen, unfortunately, because of limiting beliefs or because of inner work that needs to be done, you can be saying one thing to your clients and then behind the scenes not doing that yourself. So, for example, telling your clients that they need to get enough sleep. I don't know, let's say you're a health coach, they need to prioritize sleep and they need to minimize their screen time so that their quality of sleep improves. But then you're on your phone last thing at night because potentially you're in a lack mindset and you're worried about where your next clients are coming from. So you're in the DMs frantically, like creating connections and responding to messages, and you haven't got the personal boundaries in place for you to put your phone on airplane mode, even if there are messages to respond to, and go to sleep at a decent time. So it's not congruent, is it? If you're telling your clients to do one thing and you're there doing something else, they won't necessarily know that. But what's happening is you are creating resistance because it's not congruent. And even though, like I'm saying, your clients won't necessarily, they won't know it consciously, right? But this is imperceptible. There will be more trust and safety in your client relationships if you are congruent, if you are walking your talk. Literally, if you're walking your talk, okay, on an energetic level, for you, it will not feel good to know that you're saying something to your clients, like look after yourselves, for example. And then behind the scenes, you're working all the hours under the sun and being a slave to your business and not prioritizing your self-care. Whatever it is, I'm sure you can relate this to your own niche if you're not a health coach. But yeah, it is really important, if appropriate in your line of work and what you're doing, it is really, really important that you walk your talk because you want to be in integrity. And so, yeah, it doesn't feel good. Energetically, it's not good. It's misaligned if you're saying one thing and doing another. Okay, that's the end of the tips. Tip number one was, well, first of all, attracting a properly aligned energetic match clients in the first place. That was before we even get to number one. But okay, imagining then that you only have fully aligned dream clients in front of you, then number one, be clear on your role. You are a leader, so you're there to lead, not to save. Number two, hold your clients to the highest potential. See more for them, more possibility for better results. And when you believe in that higher potential, they will raise to that, whether that's unconsciously or consciously. That is a massive tip in itself. If you believe that your results can improve, then it will change how you show up. It will change your energy, your language, your confidence, your tone so much. So believe in higher results. Number three, set healthy boundaries for your clients. Number four, set healthy boundaries for yourself. And number five, take care of your own energy and walk your talk. Prioritize yourself so that you are showing up as your best. So reflect on your work. I would love for you to actually create something good from this episode and not just be a passive listener. So reflect on your work, please. What can you do to improve your results? Are you going to take what one action are you going to take in the next week, ideally in the next couple of days? What action can you take to commit to doing something that is going to shift your results? And remember that this stuff takes time. Okay, so you won't necessarily see an improvement for potentially 90 days, but believe that this will work. All of these tips will work if you commit to them. Intention is key. So set an intention today. And I'd love for you to journal as if as well. A little bonus tip for you. Do some journaling as if. So what this involves then is grab your journal and write the date at the top 3 months from now, and journal as if you're 3 months down the line and you have noticed a shift in all of your clients. They are achieving more, they are leading themselves more, they are more empowered than ever. And also, you have seen a shift in the type of clients that want to work with you. And just journal as if the most amazing shifts have happened. And don't limit yourself on what is possible here, because by doing this journaling as if activity, you're setting an intention, an energetic intention, and your subconscious mind will not know the difference between whether this has happened already or whether it's going to happen. It just takes it as a given and you will start to work towards this. So, fun little activity for you to help yourself create even better results using the laws of the universe. Okay, on that note, I will leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. As always, I love receiving your messages and hearing your feedback. So if you've enjoyed this, I would love for you to send me a DM. What's your main takeaway? Or share it on stories, tag a friend, share it with a friend, whatever feels good for you. But thank you so much. Just first and foremost, thank you so much for being here today and listening. See you next week. Thank you for listening to the Bigger Than You podcast. If you found it valuable, please forward it to others who you think might benefit from listening, and be sure to subscribe to get the new episodes when they release. And if you're listening on iTunes, please leave a rating or a review, as it really helps the show to grow. You can find me on LinkedIn, Jenna Holloway, or on TikTok and Instagram, and my handle is @IamJennaHolloway. And you can find links to whatever we cover in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.